Welcome to episode 8 of Bedtime for Boomer, titled 16 People Live in Wyoming, The Great American Experiment, Part 2. Okay, sugar, it's time for bed.
Oh, come on, Grampy. Why do I have to go to bed? We're going to miss the nighttime show with Piers Morgan.
I know, it's fun watching that idiot make a fool of himself and his guests. But you have school tomorrow. You have to go to bed. Someday soon you will put me to bed. And sometimes I think I can't wait for that day.
Is that some kind of boomer humor? You know that corny stuff that you always say?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's some of my boomer humor.
We're learning more about the Constitution and stuff like that in social studies. You know, how the Constitution is the greatest document ever written, except for the Bible.
Yeah, I suppose you're going to get that in public and run schools. But don't kid yourself. It's far from perfect. And publicans like it that way. For instance, there's nothing in the Constitution about revoking the statehood of a state. Once you're a state, you will always be one of the United States. And nobody can take that away. Look at Wyoming. There are 16 people living in Wyoming. And it's a full-fledged state. It once had over 600,000 people. That was before the mega-trillionaires and bought up most of the land, you know, and then forced everybody else out. But you know, what are you going to do? They started with, you know, convincing people that there was a major disease. It was called the Yellowstone amoeba scare. And that caused widespread exodus from the state. And the YA scare was proven to be a fabrication by the same trillionaires that are now the only residents. But because of our flawed Constitution, there's no way of demoting Wyoming to a U.S. territory and removing its statehood and its rights and perks, unless there's a constitutional amendment. Wyoming will always be a state. Now, 2 of the trillionaires are U.S. senators. 1 is in the House of Representatives. Another is the governor. One of those senators is the majority leader in the Senate, and the representative is the Speaker of the House. So basically, those 16 uber-wealthy individuals have as much power as the 75 million people living in California. What makes it more frustrating is that the 5 million Americans living in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands have no representation in Congress at all. They can't even vote for president. You would think that a flaw in our Constitution, this glaring and this anti-democratic, would be fixed by Congress. But no. Republicans like it that way. And they like the way the flaw works for them. Even as the empty states, year after year, get emptier, they still retain their power. If you add the populations of North and South Dakota together, you only have 50,000 people. There's more people living in San Juan, Puerto Rico, than in both states combined. Yet the Dakotas have 4 Republican senators and 2 Republican members of the House. And there's nothing for Puerto Rico. And because this Constitution is so flawed, the 70 Republican senators represent only 28% of the U.S. population. The 30 Democratic senators represent 70% of the population. And no one represents the 2% of Americans not living in any state. So the Republicans are going to keep it this way because it really helps them out. Also, because of the huge majority that Republicans hold in Congress, all the cabinet secretaries will always be Republicans, and all the court appointments will also be Republicans, because thanks to our Constitution, Congress gets to approve all appointments, and publicans will only approve publicans. So even if a Democrat were to win the presidency, he or she would be forced to appoint publicans to run the government. Our Constitution is extremely outdated and dysfunctional. Our entire system of government is dysfunctional because the Constitution can't be updated. Congress and the courts are only there to help corporations and expand extreme and corrupt capitalism. The presidency is only used to force other countries into allowing U.S. corporations to take over their markets and resources. Because of our Constitution, the U.S. has become the most undemocratic country on earth. Way back when the U.S. took over the country of Iraq and removed their entire government during the Republican presidency of George W. Bush, did he set up their government with the three branches of government that we have? No. Did he set them up with the Senate and House of Representatives? No. He did set them up with a parliamentary system that everyone else in the world uses. If our system of government is so great, then why didn't he copy it for Iraq? Because he knew that our system of government is a failure. The big experiment is over, and it didn't work. It would have been great if publicans acted like adults instead of little kids and always looking for a loophole to get their way. At this point, there's no fixing it.
Should I tell this to the class tomorrow, Grampy?
Absolutely not. Miss Cannon will yell at you and give you bad grades for speaking up. And remember, we're Democrats, so we don't fight back.
Grampy!
Yes?
I'm worried about Peanut. She didn't come to school today or yesterday. I hope the ice Nazis didn't find out about her parents being here illegally.
Ooh. Well, tomorrow we'll go over to her house and see if everything is all right.
Okay, Grampy. I love you.
I love you too, sugar. Now go to bed.